Congratulations on the Pitt. Wow.
Thank you.
It's this thing is going to be a behemoth.
I hope so. I hope so. We're still two episodes shy of finishing, so it seems a little odd to have to share it with the world before we've landed the plane. But so far, so good. Everybody seems to be enjoying the takeoff.
It's the number one streamed series right now on HBO Max. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, my first question just out of the chute is as playing a doctor, you have a lot of technical terms you've got to know. Was that easy for you because of your mom, or did you have to do you have to learn all this stuff and make it sound like how to pronounce these things?
Both, I guess. I mean, it wasn't unfamiliar terminology because I grew up in a household where, my mom being a nurse, it was fairly familiar. But I think it was 15 years of going home and learning 10 pages of medical jargon every night that built the muscle. And then I just haven't exercised it for a really long time. So I had to kick some rust off. But, it's slowly coming back.
Talk to me about your character, and because he's a lot different from other roles that you've played.
Yeah, he's, you know, an example of a healthcare professional who had a very difficult tour of duty during COVID and hasn't had an opportunity to really process what toll that took on him personally, as he's continually had to pick up the broken pieces of the community, and service the ever increasing need of a population that is always going to get sick, always going to get hurt.
But this drama it's a very intense show, and I think people gravitate to that because we've always loved medical shows. I mean, ever since Dr. Ben Casey and Kildare and those shows in the '50s, House, more recently. But your guy is going through a lot of he's fighting demons.
We're meeting him on the 5-year anniversary of him having to pull the plug on his mentor who was taken off life support to give that piece of equipment to somebody who had a better chance of survival. And then everybody had a bad outcome. So it's just one of those awful Sophie's choices that had to be made in the heat of the battle. And today's the anniversary of it, and he probably shouldn't have come to work. He's done a really good job of compartmentalizing all this stuff and just moving forward, as we all have in a lot of ways the last several years. We've had to just move forward out of necessity, but it doesn't mean it doesn't come with some personal cost. And the more unexamined we are, the more those costs come to call at inconvenient times.
The uh, the writing is so crisp in this. I know you've written a script for the series, but you're also executive producer, so those things pass through you. Is there a lot of conversation with the writing staff or with the individual writers about where this character is going?
Yeah, we assembled the writing staff, December of 2024, just before the Christmas holiday. Started the room in earnest in January with really nothing more than a concept, and extremely talented group of people, working very hard in a very small room. Uh, Cracked 15 episodes of a narrative and really, a wonderful array of three-dimensional characters. This is different than a lot of TV shows in terms of when you're writing it, because of its real-time structure, you have to know everything before you start. There's no really way to figure out the story as you're going along because, you've sold an entire concept. So we had to have a set built way earlier than normal because we had to write to that specific set. So we knew how long it took to get from point A to point B. And we really had to have a good grasp on these characters. And Robbie's the center of the wheel, so he had to be defined first in a lot of ways.
What you're talking about, how this is filmed and all that, it reminds me so much of live theater.
It feels that way. When we started, I wrote a letter to Kathy Sandrich, our casting director, and she put it out with all of the submissions as sort of a mission statement or kind of an invitation. calling for a certain type of performer that wanted to come and be part of something somewhat unique, that on some days would be extremely gratifying and on other days would be really boring. But it would be more like TV, camp, and repertory theater all kind of blended together, analogous to an early Altman movie, like MASH or
Yeah.
Nashville, where you're going to create a character in a three-dimensional environment that's alive all of the time, whether the camera's focused on you or not. But when it comes through, you have to be immersed in your storyline, and it has to be in real time with the rest of the narrative. So you got to be in character all the time, and it's an interesting discipline, and the enthusiasm and the level of talent that responded was just overwhelming. Everybody was so hungry to come and be part of something like this and
You
to
have such a
find it.
great cast.
Amazing.
And
Really.
everybody is spot on. And let's expand that. You also have a great crew if they're working in that claustrophobic kind of area.
John Wells had the whole crew, everybody wears scrubs every day because the set is so open. There's a high probability that a crew member could get caught in a shot. And just for expediency's sake, everybody wears scrubs. But it's also fostered this esprit de corps where everybody comes to work. And, this is this hermetically sealed, little ecosystem that we've built, and everybody's bought into it.
This is my favorite show right now, and I'm just waiting for more episodes to come my way because it's just killer. I mean, it's just such a fun, and there's a wisp of humor running through it too. It's not just
Okay.
dry medical stuff.
Thank you very much for saying so. The next episode is one of the two that I wrote, so I hope you enjoy it.
I certainly will. And before I let you go, talk to me a little bit about Leverage season 3. Are you involved in it?
Yeah, I'm in it. I'm in it. I'm not in every episode, but I'm in a lot of them. And I don't know that there's an air date yet assigned to it from Amazon, but it's finished and sitting in the can waiting to go.
Yeah, it's as you know, that's where we met. It was it's my one of my favorite things to watch. Now I've got you double on streaming service. I can watch Noah Wiley direct and write and perform. What a
There you go.
world!
Double threat. Double threat. Got to come at it from every angle these days. You got to hustle.